I nearly got out. Thank you, Angel, and Heidi, everyone. Welcome aboard. It's good to have you here as our trading buddies for this Thursday, the 9th of the 9th, 2021. Boy, oh boy, the week goes fast, doesn't it? And I haven't struck a blow yet. As far as trading is concerned, that is. No entries, apart from the pound breakout trade. That's it. That is it. Haven't got in the market yet. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Perhaps it's a good thing this week. I don't feel super in charge, I've got to say. The market's kind of creeping in the opposite direction that I thought it might. But that can be a good thing on a Thursday as you come in, and those anticipated directions or movements that were evident on Sunday, maybe they're still to come. And we've just got a better price on those that we wish to trade. Let us see. Speaking of breakout trades, let's go take a look at the pound and what it's doing today. Now, I've actually got an order on the pound. I like it for a buy on the daily chart. Love this candle. I think it's a really good one. We've got clear double bottom here in place. We've got a higher high, a higher low, a higher high. Is this the next higher low? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. It's a good spot, I've got to say, and I think I spoke about this early in the week. And it's given me a beautiful candle, rejection bar, bang on close above the monthly pivot or on the monthly pivot. And for that reason, I've got an order above it. Stop loss below it. I'll be taking my first profit just above where the stop loss and entry is for the breakout trade that we traded on Tuesday. So if you want to follow that, they are the numbers. Buying at 1.3793, stop loss at 1.3721, and the first take profit at 1.3820. Now, there was something else. Oh, of course. Are we going to trade the breakout today? Well, let's go to the hourly chart and see what we can see. Looks like a range to me, I've got to say. Let me see what I can drag in here. So we've got about 75 pips. And we're banging in the middle. I don't mind this. Okay, where am I going to put it? I've got pound short, pound long, and now pound breakout. Okay, why not? Let me give you some numbers, and more importantly, me some numbers. Let's go with the short first. The entry will be 1.3722, 1.3722. That is a sell stop. Once again, if you're joining us for the first time, a couple of things. Welcome. Great to have you on board. But the second thing is this is a non-proven system of trading. So please do not put any meaningful money on board this. It is really just to find out exactly how we should trade it. Now I've forgotten the number. 1.3722. How could I forget that? Anybody who knows cricket knows that 2-2. Don't worry about it. And the stop loss needs to be 5 above the range. The range is there. We'll call that 1.3790. So our stop loss will be 1.3795. Now let's reverse that and put a buy order in place. My goodness, I'm trying to manage all this. Buy stop, 1 point, we don't want that much. We want that much. 1.3822, 3722, sorry. And what do I put as a stop loss for the last one? That is the stop loss. You dingbat. This is a buy order. All right. See how easy I get myself flustered, can't you? 3722. The buy order is at 1.3795, if my memory serves me correctly. That should be it. Righto, there we go. So the chart's going to look very confusing because there's orders all over the place. So the long today is 5 pips above the high of that bar, which is here. Stop loss is there. Entry for the short is there. Stop loss for the short is there. Exactly the same. So it is an OCO. What does that mean? If you don't know what it means that one cancels the other. So if we get triggered into the long, we cancel the short and vice versa. Your target, there is only one target, and it is 2.5 to 1. Now, what was the risk on this? 73 pips. 2.5 times 73 is 146 plus 36.5. 182.5, right? Let's go with 182. And that would take us where? There's the buy. No, there's the buy. 182 from there. Holy snap and duck poo. That's asking a lot. 182 from there. Getting close. There we are. 1.3977. 1.3977. That'll be a reasonable trade if we can get it. About there somewhere. And 2.5 to the low side would be, what did I say? 77. 182. 182 this way takes us way down below. Not what I meant to do. Okay, let's go with 135.40. There we go, close enough. Righto, you got all that, guys? You really probably don't care because I doubt anybody trades this. And if you do, as I said, needs to be very, very, very small stake. Righto, so that's pound US dollar. What am I into today? Well, I just told you £1 US dollar, I think, is a buy. And they are the parameters around which I want to trade that. That was one of two only game changer bars for the day. The second was Euro Yen short. And like just about every single game changer bar this week, it is proving to be the medicine that has taken off. And I've got to say, speaking of OCOs, I thought this was potentially one of those today. I didn't take it. I thought better of it. But I'm inclined to think that if price goes back above the daily pivot, it's going to break out to the high side. Got a little bit of a cycle starting here. Up, retrace, up, consolidate, now broken to the downside. I'm going to watch that closely and see if there's any sign of that being a potential false break. Now, that could well be, if this candle closes as is, a good position to take. If it goes down here too far, then no. But if it goes down around about where it is, I think it's reasonable to put a stop loss, an entry above it here, stop loss below it. Why would I say that? Because, as you should know, most breakouts are not breakouts at all. They're false breakouts. And a very early way to detect that is to actually trade the candle that broke out. So the theory being that if the sellers are truly not in control, they're going to be wrong here at the top of that bar. And if they're wrong here, and we've got room to take profit before the daily pivot, yes, please. That would suit me. Now, I'm not saying that this will go long at all because you've got a very strong double top signal sitting there, but we're also looking for a lower high. And if it came back to the daily pivot and gave us that rejection bar, I think that would be excellent. So I think this is a once only trade if you do get it. Entry there, stop loss there. Like I said, don't let it, if it goes too far, forget it. and just take your profit just underneath the daily pivot. I think that's very, very, very much worth looking at. All right. Apart from those two, look, I've got an absolute lack of interest in most things except the Aussie, because I still believe the Aussie at some stage this week will rally against some that it hasn't. CAD is don't come back here. Don't go yet. So I wanted to play it off support. So I'm hoping this doesn't break through at this point, but it's starting to look as though what I saw in the first instance this week, and after the RBA statement in particular, that we get a good price on the Aussie pairs, and I'm still sticking by that. Haven't found an entry on anyone yet. That's probably a good thing because it hasn't rallied, but that is still my want. Aussie CAD was one. Aussie Kiwi, I've got that order still on the monthly chart. Oh, you don't know? You should know. Not the monthly chart, the weekly chart. So I have replaced that order. I think I've told you that. But there could well be a far better entry round about where we are now, actually, on the smaller time frames. We're nearly halfway there, so we need price to get above this level, come back and retest it, and then I think we've got an entry Aussie Kiwi long. I did note that that New Zealand has lost a lot of its internet capacity through I won't say a terrorist. What am I trying? The word on that was some sort of hacking anyway. It's not the first time it's happened, and the banks, the ANZ Bank is one that's affected, and I think there are other couple of financial institutions that are affected also. Not sure how serious that is. I just heard a whisper on that like half an hour ago, and I'm certainly not going to, pardon me, jump into the market long because I've heard that. But this is starting to look a bit basey to me as well. Love to see a rally above here and a pullback, and I'd be long underneath the weekly that I've already got in place. So there we go, Ash. G'day to you. How are you, mate?
I'm all right, mate. Yeah, I'm okay. Interesting price action today where the market continues to move to the downside. Difficult trade this morning, which I've literally got in and out of, so it was difficult to share. But but let me tell you what my thinking really is here, because I took a trade short. But actually, what I'd quite like now is to see if there's going to be a reversal. So let me share my screen with you.
Okay. G'day, Lewis. How you doing, bud? Hi, John. Hope you're feeling well. Better.
There we go.
G'day, Paul P. Happy Wednesday to you too, mate. I hope yesterday was good, because it's actually Thursday. Right, but you knew that, didn't you?
Hi, Lewis. Hey, Paul, John. Who else do I see in there? Yeah, great move on the FTSE. And we were looking at this FTSE short. We took a FTSE short yesterday. And as I said at the time, I thought it would go a little bit further, but it's just not my approach. I want the shorter term kind of moves. But we're getting very close to a potential turnaround. There's it could happen here, and we need to be really careful about how we jump into this one, and whether we just want to jump into this one. You can see that there is this support line down here on the 4 hour, which we are slowly approaching. As I say, when the market opened this morning, there was a small opportunity here, which I did take, but I took my 10 and I am out now. But look, here we go. Now, this is the area which is of interest. Now, I would be normally quite happy to take the trade here and look for the bounce. But the market's come down pretty hard. It is in oversold conditions down here. And I would suggest that that when a bounce comes, it will probably result, in a relatively sharp move. And what will appear like relatively easy money as well, because I don't think it will take very long if we do manage to get the long in this area. So we're looking at, so the futures are at 7,000. I think you guys will be looking at around about 7,004, somewhere down like that. But this is it's very likely to bounce here. As I said, you can see that really already happening. My only concern here is that the market is really bearish, and there is a lot of negative sentiment. The thing is that the chances are that they'll be much more interested in selling at least here, or probably preferably for most people up here. So that's why this is a decent bounce area, and it's likely to kind of get us back. Now, I'd only be after around about 10 pips here, so I wouldn't mind taking this on. But as I say, my slight issue with it is that the market is so negative. It has opened up so negatively that that it would be a bit more dangerous, you know, to take it here. It's easy to know where the stops are. Stops 10 pips below, no problem at all. And looking for around about a 10 pip gain. So you're looking for around about a 1-to-1. And in actual fact, that probably would have happened already. So that there would have already been a decent profit there. What I prefer, rather than just jumping in at a level, because, you know, why couldn't it be in this level or this level? This is a strong level. It's 7,000. It is on a daily chart. You can see that there is a pretty good horizontal level here. Touches here, touches along here. We saw on the 4-hour chart that over here that there is that support level. So this is a pretty good level, and bounces are likely. Whether the bounce is going to be that aggressive is the big question. So what I prefer to see is a genuine bottoming out here. You know, rather than I'm not adverse to just buying price at all, as you guys know. I'll take a trade if it comes to the price I'm at. But what I don't see is anything in the way of sentiment which suggests that we are likely to get a reversal. And what I prefer is to actually see a reversal of trend, and then we can take the shorter term positions, probably a little bit safer. So you know, I would suspect a bit of a bounce here, but it's not one of the safer ones. So I'm going to just step back right now and just see what develops here, and see if it does kind of like give us some sort of bottoming out, and see if we can time a move to the upside. Because, you know, it depends how you manage the cash. But if you are looking at no leverage trading and you pick it up in this area and it comes down, then where I wouldn't be too concerned is that this area is likely to be retested. So if it does come down and comes back up again, then you can close the position with little or no loss if it comes through. Now, if you're using stop losses, then it's a different thing entirely. Now, that has bounced pretty nicely, actually. So there was a bit of an opportunity there. But as I say, it doesn't really meet the kind of parameters right now. And I'd really like to see it bottoming out. It's good that it has bounced, because this is kind of suggesting that this is the correct area to be looking for if this market is going to turn around. But there's you know, a greater probability that it comes up somewhere around the trend line and fails again. Could you take the short there? Absolutely. I don't particularly like shorting the equities, but when they're this low, I don't mind at the higher end, but when they're this low, I'm not that keen on it. But it could continue to the downside. There seems to be sort of quite a lot of concern right now when it comes down to growth. And if we look at this, I'm pretty sure you can see my screen here. Ah, no, maybe you can't actually. You can't, so let's bring this together. Now I should be able to do this instead. Here we go. Right, there we go. Now you should be able to see that, hopefully. No, you can't. Why can't you see that? Oh yeah, it should be okay. Hold on, let me just sort my share out, because you should be able to see Forex Factory and you can't. So let me go to here. Oh, there you go. And it was there. It just took a little while to get there. It's there now, isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So there we go. Right. Oh, look at that! Look at that market, mate. That was a bit of a that looks. I mean, that is swift. You know, the way that's kind of gone, that is swift. But I don't, you know, this is definitely a sell zone now. You know, I don't feel comfortable, as I say, kind of sort of really selling the market at any point, especially, or I rarely feel comfortable selling it, but especially when it's near the lower end. But this is now a sell zone, so people are going to be hopping in here. I feel a bit more comfortable about ignoring it because I did take a bit of I did take a very short-term move this morning to the downside, but now there's enough volatility here to suggest opportunity. You know, you'd sell in this area, it comes down. Now, what I want to see when it comes down next time really is a genuine signs and signals of reversal. And because they're not there, this makes the probability of this sell better. So this is a decent kind of this is going to be a decent sell signal, particularly, you know, if you wait for a 5-minute bar, that 5-minute bar kind of like produces something negative. That's going to increase the probability of the sell. So wait for the 5 minutes and see if you get that. If you do, then I think that would be okay to take. Not my personal preference, but you know, that would be okay. If it breaks through this area, then you'd be looking at this area for a sell, because as I say, the signals are still pointing lower. They are not they are not at this stage pointing for a turnaround. If we look at, you know, what's kind of driving the market now, the caveat to all this is that actually the big picture is still not that bad. You know, so I will come to the numbers eventually, but just to kind of like finish the analysis with the charts. This is on a proper time frame. You know, this is where we should be analyzing what's the real kind of sentiment, and it's on a weekly chart. So if we look on the weekly chart, then you know, weekly or monthly would be absolutely fine. There's our trend really on the weekly there. So if this market was to all of a sudden come down and move into an area kind of down here, that's not so good actually, but it's not too bad. But let's say it does. Let's say it was to come into an area all the way down there. Split that to a monthly. Yeah, this is better. This will kind of give us a better view of it. Market comes all the way down to this point here. Let's say, and respects the trend line. Really, there's not a lot to see. You know, this is not, it wouldn't be very negative at all. It's just, this is just going to create a decent buying opportunity. So you look along that level there, decent level of support along there on the monthly, decent level of support there on the trend line as well. So this is a primary trend line. So the primary trend line would still be in place, no problem at all. It would retrace to an area, a horizontal area there. That's at 6,642. So you're looking at, you know, 350 pips below where we are now, which equates to what, 5% drop. Not that major, really. Like a 5% drop in the FTSE 100. It's not all that exciting in a lot of ways, but this would probably create a buying opportunity, and a 5% drop is well overdue. So I don't see this being that significant. But obviously when we look on smaller term timeframes, then smaller term timeframes look really hairy, and it looks like, you know, that things are collapsing all of a sudden, but they're not really. They're just we're just getting the retracement that we probably should have got, you know, quite some time ago. Of course, things change, and if it was to come down and we get other developments, maybe COVID, we get a resurgence of COVID, who knows what else could happen? Maybe we get a central bank collapse, which is always a possibility. A default on the US debt payment. AZ sent a really interesting article on that earlier on. You know, these sorts of things may change the picture, but for right now, anything that comes down to these levels here wouldn't be a major problem. It's just going to hold a level. The question is, can we trade it? Now, I wouldn't be comfortable just selling here and holding, but can we trade that lower? And the answer to that is right now, yes, we can, because there's probably enough, which is why the upside for me needs to be pretty clear. If I'm going to reverse the what I think is potentially happening here, the upside needs to be a bit clearer. it's it's possible that that all we're really getting is a retracement back into this area, and we should still be looking for upside. Again, that would be no problem at all. I'd prefer to go long in the environment, and the reason I say that is that growth is slowing, but it's not shrinking. Well, it's shrinking to a degree, but we're not going backwards. We are not all of a sudden retracing all the kind of good news and good data that we've been enjoying for such a long time. So if we look back at some of these numbers here, ECB out today, which it's gonna probably stabilize the market to a degree until we get those numbers out. But let's look at over these numbers here and see what it's suggesting. Overall, we're talking about worldwide. We know that Australia is almost the commodity provider of the planet. So there was a previous GDP of 1.9%. The most recent print was 0.7%. So the 0.7% tells us that it's over zero. So there's still growth there, but the fact that it is 1.2% lower tells us that there's a little bit of a slowdown in the growth, in the pace of growth. So that kind of says valuations are a bit high. We should still be buying this stuff, but valuations are a bit high. So a retracement is probably overdue.
And you're going to get it in the next quarter too, mate, because the Sydney and Melbourne thing will bite. Yes,
absolutely right. Well, I think that's the other thing, isn't it? Is that we haven't really had the full effects of the lockdowns yet either. So there's going to be companies
that'll be negative for sure next time.
Do you think it'll be a negative GDP number?
For sure.
Okay, all right. Well, if that's the case, then it does kind of change the terrain a little bit. So what's happening now then is if we think about the stock market as almost like a forerunner for what people will expect happening with GDP, if there is a suspicion that GDP is going to shrink across the board, we're talking about global GDP. If global GDP is going to shrink, then the way that that's usually expressed is by selling the indices, selling shares. I think the major indices all dropping. Lewis says a preview of a big drop in stock indices. Does that mean, Lewis? Stick indices, stock indices? It is a preview. We haven't come down anywhere near enough yet. I think that there's, as I say, I think a 5% drop is well and truly overdue. And that could turn into a 20% drop, between 5 and 20% drop. I think that is fair. I think that could definitely happen. Looking at here, Caixin manufacturing PMIs from China. Now, this is a negative number. 49.2 under the 50 mark shows that actually they are starting to shrink. That the production levels are shrink. So purchasing managers index but below the level. Retail sales from Germany coming in at negative 5.1, showing really that people aren't out there willing to spend. That's what, if we're breaking these numbers down, this is the sort of thing that is telling us. If retail is starting to shrink a bit, then it tells us that the consumer is not so confident about the economy. And these are the kind of things that we need to sort of see if we're going to start getting a bit of a flag up. HPI is from the United Kingdom, so these are house prices, and actually, a huge move to the upside, but a little bit artificial because of some of the measures that were put in place. Commodity prices, manufacturing PMIs from Switzerland.
Sorry, let's go back to the housing.
Yeah.
What's your take on this? Housing prices around the world are rallying ridiculously. Here in Australia, it hasn't stopped for the last goodness knows how long.
Yeah.
And the affordability index must be just crazy.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, that's
true.
I mean,
we're in the middle of a pandemic. People
Yeah.
are losing their jobs hand over fist here in Australia, yet the house prices are just going through the roof. There's a boom on like no tomorrow, like it's never going to end. And the only possible answer is that we've still got low interest rates and not likely to move anytime soon.
Yeah.
But wow, really?
Yeah. Well, you're not on camera, by the way, mate. I don't know if you knew that anyway, but you're not on camera.
Just trying to
there you
spare
are.
the people, mate. That's
There you go. Well, I would say that there's probably a combining kind of factors here, and the fact that you've got very, very cheap money, the fact that you've got mortgages now going back almost to the 100% mortgages now, that terrain has changed a bit as well. But I think most importantly,
really,
well,
like
yeah, in
the
this country,
LVRs have gone up. Is that what you're saying?
in this country, they
Wow.
have, yeah, and they probably have across the board a bit as well.
So here we go again. Global financial crisis, take two.
Well, there is definitely a possibility of that. I think that there's more regulation now, but more checks done on people. but money has got cheaper. But I think probably most importantly is that probably increased the demand a bit, but maybe the demand stayed relatively similar. But the supply just isn't there. People aren't really selling. Home builders aren't building. There's been huge supply shocks in materials. There's concrete supply problems.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So we've got all these kind of like supply chain issues, which is probably off the back of COVID. I mean, I'm sure that Suez Canal thing didn't really help things. It probably came at the worst time. But we do have supply issues. So the supply issues then squeezes the demand down because, it squeezes the supply down further in the chain because the home builders aren't building as many homes as they were before. So I suspect it's probably got a lot of factors involved in it, but ultimately you come back down to the same thing. Demand is relatively high, or at least the same as it was before, but the supply has been choked quite significantly. So inevitably.
So economics 101.
Yeah, I think that's it, mate. I think that's it.
Nothing mysterious at all.
No, and I wonder whether if you were to track back just about everything to do with price movement, you would probably come back to economics 101, and where we kind of overlay all this information on top of. You probably get led back to kind of patient zero, if you like, where you sort of go, well, it all kind of starts from supply and demand, and if you can track back the supply and demand chains, then you'll probably have a pretty good picture about really what is happening.
Yeah, totally. In stocks in particular, of course. Yeah.
So just back to some of these numbers, mate.
Sorry about that. I thought that was just it's been
it's a fair point. I think it's a fair point. And you're always kind of looking for, I suppose, that kind of issue when you're looking to buy or sell something. But the numbers right across the board, I don't want to bore everybody with this stuff, but it is, it's important to touch on anyway. The numbers across the board, okay, Spanish manufacturing PMIs has kind of put a little bit of a fly in the ointment, but the numbers across the board are getting, they're limiting. Swiss is slightly lower than it was before. Okay, Italian a little bit higher actually. In fact, let's go to the Euro manufacturing PMIs. It's tiny. The final manufacturing PMIs is tiny, but there is just a little bit of shrink in there. And actually, if you were to look at Europe, it's probably actually doing slightly better than the others. Manufacturing from the United Kingdom was again slightly higher, but ADP non-farm employment shrinking. The final manufacturing from the United States shrinking a little bit. Same on the manufacturing final on the ISM. But you do have ISM manufacturing prices coming down a little bit as well. Crude oil inventories growing. And this is almost kind of adding to the thing. So retail sales in Switzerland, people aren't spending over there. GDP quarter on quarter, okay, that was a slight miss, but it was better than last time, to be fair. Unemployment change in Spain, not very good. So we are kind of looking at an economic, and actually, in fact, when you get into Friday, these numbers are all starting to change. Spanish services PMI shrinking, Italian services PMI flat. We got a little bit less in the French services PMI. We go to retail sales right across Europe. They're all kind of coming down. We know what happened with non-farm on Friday. ISM, services PMI, there is growth there, but it's less than it was before. So you can run down these numbers and start to say, ZEW economic sentiment from Europe, way below where it was before. German ZEW economic sentiment, way below where it was before. So there's quite a lot of data and numbers here, which are suggesting that that growth that we enjoyed off the back of some of these economies, starting to open back up again, has now started to level off and dissipate. And at that point, traders, investors start going, what have you got for us? What's next? And then you've got on the other side of it, central banks starting to talk about tapering, seeing these numbers and going, they're probably at this point, mate, they are probably bricking themselves. They have got supply chain issues which are pushing prices higher. They've got literally nothing in the, or very little in the toolkit to know what to do next when it comes down to how to control this stuff. And then you've got all these things which are suggesting that the purchasing power of each of these currencies is losing its value because supply chains are weak, so the prices go up, and yet your currency or your central bank is not reacting to make your currency supply less, pushing the price of money up. So our money is starting to dissipate. Exactly your point on house prices. Prices go up, but actually money's getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and less valuable. So this is costing us more and more and more to kind of like, do the everyday things. And that leads, in my opinion, and it is just an opinion, but it can only lead to, I would have thought, one place, which is something which is going to snap, and it is going to snap.
I agree, 100%. Yeah. It's not sustainable in any way, shape, or form. It's
not sustainable, no. They would have wanted by now to see an economy which could survive on its own. It's kind of like it's able to kind of, they can take the life support off. And that's the problem that they've now got, is that they saw signs of life, but then just when the signs of life start coming in, some other organs are starting to fail. And they're like, well, okay, we can't take life support off. It's close, but we're not close enough. So then what will eventually happen is other organs will start to fail, and other organs will start to fail while you've left this life support on, and eventually you just run out of the option to do that. 2008 was just kicked down the road. Absolutely right, mate. And the payment is due. So if 2008, we're seeing kind of 13 years ago, is the start of the last business cycle, we're well overdue something significant happening. Now, I think people thought that was COVID, and maybe it was, but what if it wasn't? What if we actually as human beings break the financial system in a different way? Not by creating a pandemic,
and we will, because we
will, yeah. And who knows, mate? It could be coming. So that kind of damns the dollar.
Get ready for it, guys, because if and when it does happen, you'll be in a very good position to make some money.
Well, look at that. I mean, it's a beautiful inverted head and shoulders actually on the dollar right now. So technically speaking, we're not there yet. But this does kind of bring us back to these other things. Gold, it's unable to get any love as it pushes up. Now, this
I told you I placed an order on gold, didn't I?
You did tell me that, mate. Yes, yesterday. So you've gone long on gold.
I cancelled the order. Didn't
you cancelled the order. You see, I'm looking at gold and I'm thinking, man, this is quite exciting. It's much better when things are unloved. To start looking at it, because this is the point where people take their eye off the ball and they start going, gold won't come back again. It's not the safe haven it used to be. All this kind of stuff. Then all of a sudden, out the blue, the phoenix kind of comes up and starts to fly from the flames. And I was speaking to Ainsley earlier on. I was saying, I kind of need to get my shopping basket out because I haven't got enough of this stuff. And I'd like to start purchasing it just slowly in the background. Not trading it, but just sort of like just starting to put some things in place, because there are indications that keep coming up which suggest that something is going to snap. Now, I don't know what it is, but it's just, and it's only a suggestion. But if it doesn't happen, all the other aspects of your portfolio will continue to go to the upside. But if it does, when they come down, you've got no protection. And I would have thought gold would be the perfect answer for that.
You would think traditionally that's the case, yes.
Yeah.
So why not? Why not still there's nothing really. I mean, the cryptos ended the equation, of course, but apart from that, nothing's changed.
No, and the crypto markets, we've got El Salvador taking on Bitcoin as legal tender, and they have come out fighting. They I don't know if you've been reading up on that, mate, but El Salvador are hyper angry with the IMF and the World Bank, because there's been no support from them at all, to the point because they're concerned, and is this another indication of when World War One kind of was sparked by Franz Ferdinand being assassinated, and it almost seems like an innocuous event, and then all of a sudden you got the kind of like everybody on the planet sort of like fighting. El Salvador, small country, taking on Bitcoin almost seems like an innocuous event, but it is shaken that it may be enough to shake the system sufficiently to start monetary kind of battles going on that we may, as we said for the last 2 years, we may well live through a significant shift of what's going to happen kind of financially. Now, this might sound sort of like quite extreme, and it might sound sensationalist, and maybe it is. But I'm not saying this is what's going to happen. I'm just saying, actually, we need to consider that this could happen, because I don't particularly like conspiracy theories or hugely extreme views. But I'm not sure if we were to look back on this in 10 years, whether this will sound that extreme. I think the fact that you've got a country taking on a digital asset and trying to ignore what is the world asset, and the World Bank and the central bank coming over and saying, you know what, you shouldn't do that, and possibly trying to do something which punishes them by doing it. It's very difficult to point the finger at what happened with Bitcoin, but certainly from El Salvador's point of view, I think that they're saying, well, that price point, that price manipulate, that price movement that happened after we adopted it looks like manipulation to us, and it looks like manipulation from bigger people than just institutes. So
why would we be surprised at that?
Oh, exactly, mate. Exactly. So yeah.
Speaking as a person who is not a conspiracy theorist, but I listen to everything they say.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. But we can't bury our head in the sand about this stuff, and it's one of those things that that you have to try and be as realistic as possible around these things, but well,
you've got to recognize that there is an issue.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's not an issue, then shoot me, because there's, for everything I see is not right. It's skewed wrong. It's just upside down and shouldn't be as it is. So something will give, in my humble opinion. And if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. Timing, got no idea, absolutely no idea, and that's going to be the challenge. Yeah. But something will give. Got to.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the good thing for us, mate, is that there is high volatility. We got VIX popping to the upside, and potentially continuing. We got plenty of news and data out. We got a FTSE 100, which is now coming down to test that lower end by the looks of things. Let's have a look back on the 5-minute chart. That's where we were. There we go. So we start to see this is the reversal bar here on the 5. You can see that. And if you've managed to get in right now, not a break even yet, but there is a point of reference there. So as I say, anybody that was looking to trade the FTSE, then that was your key. That was the significant bar there. And we're looking for it to come down. As I say, I don't see signs and signals of a reversal at this stage. But what I would like to see is to see whether it is to look at this and see if it does bottom out around this level, because there are other ones. It doesn't have to bottom out here. It could bottom out. I just want to get rid of this from my charts there. It could bottom out at this lower trend line here, and that would still hold the weekly trend as well. So
is there a go back to the swing high before the current high? Actually, it doesn't. Yeah, No, it's not really there. I saw something that's not there, I think. Go back to the previous chart, mate. Come from the top just before the crash. No, way left-hand side of screen before the big crash. Yeah, there. And go through the second last swing high. There, yeah.
So what you're
That's
saying is
interesting.
that is interesting because it closes below. You're looking for a retest into this area. If it
Yeah,
closes back above, we're looking for a long. Yeah,
yep.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Well, let's have a look at what we got today because we got news and data today and tomorrow, and let's see what we have. So this is going to be significant. Christine Lagarde has got the power to move the market. Now, what I would be doing at this point is probably looking for reversals in and around here, because if the markets come down sufficiently, it's much more likely to relax just before a big statement. So signs and signals of reversal here could happen. FOMC member Daly speaking later on, and Evans speaking from the US. Interestingly, yesterday we had Saunders, or 2 days ago we had Saunders from the UK, usually the most hawkish member of the MPC, which is the Bank of England committee, saying that, you know what, things look okay out there, but we won't be raising interest rates by much next year. So there's a definite kind of whiff of we are in a bit of trouble here. You know, we got a few problems. Unemployment came as well from the United States. Now this is going to be quite a significant number. We need to watch those employment numbers probably more keenly than ever. And finally, tomorrow, let's see what we finished the week with.
You're on last week, mate.
What's that? Sorry.
Oh no, sorry. I thought you were on the second. I
just had to get up to my arrow up here. Unemployment from Canada, PPIs from the United States, not huge amounts tomorrow. So today's the day, by the looks of things, that you're going to continue that volatility. So anybody out there that is trading a longer term time frame, this is the day to switch to your intraday trading. Switch to those shorter term charts, because today is volatile. So when the market is not volatile, longer term strategies win out. When the market's volatile, then this is where you want to start kind of like moving your cash towards some of those shorter term timeframes, because you're going to get that movement, and all you're ever really after is instant an instant result to your position, whether you're right or wrong. You just want an instant result, and you can see here there is instant results going on. You know, within 5, 10, 15 minutes, you have got your trade safe and you're making money in this market if you traded this one short here. So
go to the pub.
Yeah, and then you can get to the pub. Exactly. But I would have thought, actually, the way that the price action is moving today is going to be a field day for some of those short-term traders. You know, anybody that wants to trade this intraday is going to be in pretty good shape, I would have thought. They are fed up with the US dollar, John. Yeah, well, you're talking about El Salvador? Absolutely,
El Salvadorians. Right,
yeah, absolutely right. They really are. They're fed up of being controlled by these huge country institutes, if you like, and they're fighting back. But I suppose my point is that that's just one more nail potentially in the coffin of the global financial system, and it could trigger something a lot more significant. What do you think is going to happen if all the other nations around El Salvador see El Salvador all of a sudden blossoming? They came out and said, thanks a lot, central bank. We've got a cheaper Bitcoin now, and we're buying up. They've got 550 Bitcoin now. So that would equate to what we're looking at, about to, well, I mean, it's not what would that be? It's about what, 220 million, something like that, 200 million.
How many they got?
550.
Well, if they had 100, they'd have, what's it, 50, let's say it's 50,000 or below 50,000?
Near enough.
Well, there's 5 million.
Okay, 5 million. So they got 20 million.
Yeah.
20 million.
That's not much.
20, no, it's not. It's not that much at all, actually. Unless they were buying more, possibly. Maybe they meant 550. Right? I think you have, mate. Yeah.
100 times 50,000 is 5 million.
Yeah.
Yep. Times 5.
Times 5. Yeah.
There you go. Quarter of a billion.
Yeah. 20.
I'd rather
20
have
million.
it than not, but it's not that much, you know.
$20 million worth of Bitcoin. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know whether that's accurate or not. Actually, maybe it might have been a misprint. Unless, yeah, I don't know, mate. I'm not sure. Not sure what's going on with that.
It'll do.
It'll do, and it might have been a repurchasing.
If they don't want it, I'll take it off their hands. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, maybe it was one of those things. Thanks a lot. Today we bought $550 extra
Maybe.
worth of Bitcoin. You know, 550 Bitcoin today. So they spent $20 million. You know, just like they do with gold. You know, just kind of like building up positions and stuff. So that seems to be what was going on. John, I see you there, mate. I see you there. Now, obviously, we need to get to this quiz, don't we?
We do, but two things, as always. Yeah. I'll interrupt. Two quick things
Jeff.
Before we do. I'm looking at two things currently, so I'll just pinch the screen. It may happen as we go through the quiz, and I don't want to interrupt it. So, first of them is Kiwi Swissy, which I didn't mention earlier. Now, Kiwi Swissy, from my memory, is something that not from my memory, I know that I was looking for this to be a red bar for the week. I think it's just doji at the moment. Reason is there were 11 daily bars going to a resistance level, 11 daily buying bars. Now it has retraced, and it's retraced to a significant level. So I'm just not now 100% behind it. But if I do see a setup, it's tried to get through this 4 times now this week. If I do see a setup that suggests to me like a false break of resistance, then I will, or even a significant lower high in here, I will look to trade that short again, taking profit at that level, obviously, but giving it another chance to get through that level as well. The other one is, and I didn't give this to you earlier, and I'll show you why I didn't give it to you earlier. This is euro dollar. 2 reasons, really. Number one, we've got the ECB press conference coming up, or statement coming up a little bit later. But number 2, this is a very clear slingshot setup, but it has parameters around it. And those parameters.
Mate, we don't have your screen at the minute.
That makes it very difficult for you to understand what I'm saying. Is that better?
Yeah, we got it.
Right, very quickly back to Kiwi Swiss. I'm waiting for a lower high in here or a false break of that line there. That's the 4-hour chart I'm looking at. But an hourly, 30-minute, anything like that would do. False break, lower high, anything like that. I'll be looking to trade it short, taking profit here, but leaving something on the table in case it does give us a big M top. And it'd be a big one. The other one is euro dollar. 2 reasons, as I said, I didn't give you the trade earlier. It's a clear setup. We've got a break of a support trade line, beautiful consolidation underneath, completely indecisive, then a re-entry that closed on the daily pivot and a retest. Now, there's 2 reasons why I wouldn't take that trade. 1, trading straight into the high of the day, and 2, I'm trading straight into recent strong resistance. So that's why I didn't pass that on to you. However, what I really wanted to happen was this bar to take out this level, and then on the hourly chart, we would have had exactly the same thing. In fact, even far better. We would have had the break, the consolidation, the re-entry, take out the highs, come back to test the daily pivot or the trade line. Then you can jump in, put your entry above the highs and put your stop loss below the swing there and get out at the weekly pivot, because I don't know that this can go too much higher today. Sorry, do not do that. Do not do that, because we've got an ECB statement. If just get safe in the market and let it run. The absolute converse of that is that we've got exactly the same thing going on on the bigger time frame going short. Can you see this? See the difference, guys? Hourly chart, false break long. Daily chart, false break short. That's why I suggest you don't leave much money on the table for this to go long, because it could go short very easily. There you go. Sorry, mate. I just thought I'd point those two things out.
That's good stuff, mate. Okay, let's get to this quiz then, John.
Okay. I got the prognosis on my shoulder. 2 months to 2 years to put right.
Holy mackerel.
That's what I said something more than that, Jeff. I was after all the time of playing sport for years, taking a t-shirt off does the damage.
Wow.
And it was like when it's all going your way, and then go the other way when it's not going your way. So I'm getting diagnosed, and everything that could be wrong with it was wrong with it. I'm giving it. What have I done? I've really hurt somebody's feelings today. Anyway.
Yeah.
Still, never mind. As long as I do the physio, I'll be okay.
That's the hardest part, but you'll get there. You're a determined man. If you can learn to play 25 musical instruments as you can, then you can do the physio. All good.
The same guy that's looking after my shoulder looked after my hand. I damaged the knuckle 12 years ago. He got that to work, so I thought, you'll be okay. Have I got control of the doodah screen?
I've never got control of the doodah.
Oh, yeah, I have. I've got it.
Yep.
Sorry. Right. So what's that score there?
Now, who am I going to send the answer to today? Who's the lucky person?
For once, I minimised my screen so Zoom couldn't do its thing. It couldn't hide everything. Okay. It's not cryptic this week. It's quite. I think it's straightforward.
Oh, good.
Okay. First question. The UK may fall out of which country's top 10 for trading partners? Now this is
top 10.
This could be the start of a couple of bits of why there's certain countries looking everywhere else for else, but.
What a great question, mate. That's a really good question. UK may fall out of countries' top 10.
Yeah, this country is about to fall out of the other countries' top 10 for trading partners. For me, it's quite significant. No, I thought it would be that one, but it's closer to home for this country.
Let's put that.
Paul P has got it.
Wow. Yeah.
The country that still makes stuff and still values the person that can actually make it.
It's pretty
allegedly.
Serious.
Germany still makes things. I've got my saxophonist, German. They've got, so this is apparently the fallout from Brexit. I'm not quite sure, but I thought it was quite significant. I've got some friends that live in Germany who.
That is an interesting story, mate. So I wonder which side is going to get most harmed on that. Does that mean that we're selling less into Germany, or we're buying less from Germany?
I think that it will be. I think it'll probably force the UK to go elsewhere, which you'll see in the other questions.
Okay. What the hell does the UK sell to Germany anyway?
Yeah. I think it's coming the other way because the UK because the UK has got shortages of drivers, crop pickers. It's not great.
No.
Retribution, eh?
I could be. Again, here we go. Which country went live this week using Bitcoin as legal tender?
There we go. We know this one, Jeff.
We do. I'll get a point this week.
Oh, I'm sending mine to Angel. Sorry, Angel.
I'll tell you, everybody's in.
There we go.
They only need. I think is it Uruguay that are looking. to join.
Is that the Big O's brother?
There you go, mate.
Yeah.
I would say that this is what I mean about it is that there will potentially be a domino effect if they see, similar to Brexit. If the countries see the UK doing well, then there's going to be questions to be answered, and I think the same is probably going to happen in South America.
Yeah, South America is not exactly on friendly terms with the US, and if they see El Salvador, if they see it working out, they might.
Of course,
some of the bigger countries go for it.
Yeah.
Interesting times. Okay. Which is our tech corner question? Which famous pop group have reformed and are making use of virtual technology for their concerts?
Thank you for the music.
I'm
singing.
He is on the money. Oh, everybody's got it. So actually, I'm quite jealous of the fact that I'm not in the UK at the minute because the concert's going to be in London.
Yeah, I think, I mean, let's see what happens with that. But it's either going to be really, really weird or brilliant, isn't it?
But I just thought the technology of actually you doing that to this. I'll
tell you what, though, mate. What I was talking to my friend about this a few days ago, and we were both saying that if we head here, we're going to step further towards musicians not playing their instruments, and it's I don't know what's going. I mean, that's the joy of music, to see musicians jamming, and studio stuff is just becoming so important that you got Coldplay almost getting worse by the album as they layer on and layer on and layer on.
Yeah.
You kind of want people to write songs and be able to play the stuff. That's where the skill is. So I don't know where this stuff is going to end up, but
I just thought it was interesting. This is my problem with NFTs. I can understand it, ish.
Yeah.
But I've got some pieces of art on my wall. I can see them. So with music, I like all these virtual. What are they called? Cities, towns. That everybody is in this like alternative universe playing all their games.
Yeah.
I can't deal with that because I think, well, I can pick my saxophone up and I can play it for real, or I can go and kick a ball around for real. Yes, Lewis. 70s for me. 70s to 90s. 70s was good. I didn't like the 80s with the synth.
No, there were there's the odd track, but I agree with you on that.
Yeah, music ended in the 70s.
Oh, you can't say that, mate. I tell you what. I mean,
I can. Yeah, I can.
You can. You just do.
I don't want to talk about that, but you should check out some of the UK grime stuff. It is actually brilliant. Some of it is brilliant. Okay, what's this?
Send me one track.
Okay, this.
I will.
This I was roaring with laughter. I thought this is the funniest thing I've seen during the week.
In the home of football, why is watching a game on the screen difficult on a Saturday afternoon? Okay.
I actually saw this and I can't remember what it was.
No, I was just wetting myself. I thought it was so funny. And it is in a way, but it's not in others. But
no, actually.
I didn't realise that they were still doing it. I was really surprised because I can just whip down, obviously, when pandemic's over, I can... Yeah, I'll give you. If you're not sure what the answer is.
Hold on. I'm just about to finish my answer.
Ash, yeah.
Is it? Is it? Yeah.
It's not on the telly.
It's the 3 p.m. blackout.
Yeah.
The idea that you're going to go and watch your local, lower league team kick a bag of air around the field. No.
Yeah.
I just find it funny.
I wasn't paying attention when that news story was on. So I saw the news story. Must have been doing something else.
When the economy is up and functioning in KL, there must be about, 15 bars within walking distance, which is quite dangerous, obviously in lots of different respects for your liver. But each one's got a TV and each one's showing football. I don't have to pay for a thing. But yet, if I'm in the UK, I can't watch my Premier League team.
No,
you can.
No, you can't.
Of course you can, VPN.
Yeah, the VPN. Okay. This is
will
my.
We get in trouble for that? Oh wow!
No, probably. No, you will. You said it. This is my putting myself on the line, which is probably the best time of the day to trade the Forex market? I could. This is.
That depends who you are. For
I
me,
think, yes.
it's.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yep.
Oh,
It's just one piece of information. I'm not. That's why I put it in to be sort of.
Oh, so I'm wrong.
Well, I mean, if anything, I'm the other way around. With the London US crossover, that's when I'm panicking. That's when I'm sweating like I'm under the spotlight, because I know if I'm in a good trade, it's going to go the other way because everybody's after my money. That's my panic. So when I looked at that, I thought I'd put it in. That's my time to go. I have the death half hour at 9:30 my time till 10 o'clock, because I don't care what it's doing at 9:30. I know come 10 o'clock they will reveal their hand as to what they're going to do. So I didn't, that's the contentious bit. I don't know. Is it right?
I don't think so, mate. I mean,
that information. I put the title in there from Investopedia, so obviously it's not.
Oh, okay. So the US.
For me, it isn't. I thought I put it in there for debate. For
me,
it may well have changed.
I don't think it. For me, it's my time to panic, because if I'm in a nice trade that I've taken during the morning, and I get to that point, if I'm not like Jeff, we've got our trade safe in the bank. We're at that point where we're not going to get taken for a ride. That's the time when, especially tonight with like the Euro having a song and dance.
That's an interesting.
Euro's really interesting today. Really interesting. Short term, long term, short.
Yeah. I think there are some opportunities today, aren't there?
Okay, this links in with the top one. Which country allegedly, I better make sure, allegedly has cut its climate control pledges to gain a trade, allegedly. And actually, this is quite allegedly, yeah.
There can only be one.
Ash has got it.
Fair dinkum.
Yeah.
You
I have against it. This lot, allegedly. That's what I thought I'd put that in there.
I'm going to ring Scott tomorrow and tell him to stop that.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
He won't be listening to you, mate.
No, you're right there.
He's not interested in that.
That's Jeff. I better pick that
up. Okay, this is like linked in with your conversation at the beginning about interest rates and things. Now, obviously, the shakers and the movers are playing the 1 step, 2 step. You go first. We're not doing it. But one major Asian economy has already made the move to increase its interest rates. No, I don't think it's Thailand, but this one, yes. I mean, I know it. I know it because I teach students from there online.
Right.
South Korea. It's quite interesting. Apparently, the household debt is out of control.
Yeah. This is the thing, isn't it? This is what we're talking about these tools, that they're going to have to use them, even though they're not in a position to do so.
Can I ask a really stupid question? Because
you're the quiz master. Come on.
Yeah. Okay. But this is just because you guys have got way more experience than me. Interest rates are just like there's hardly anything going on, and everybody's borrowing cheap money. And if everybody's buying houses and cars and stuff like that on cheap money, and surely nobody's got room to move with interest rates, because if they move it up a bit, everybody's going to be in deep due trying to pay it. I remember way back in the day, back in the 80s, when the pound crashed out of the exchange rate mechanism, and we had interest rates just climbing just by percentage points during the day. It got up to 14%. And in the end,
I was paying 18% on my first mortgage, John.
That's mad, isn't it? Like now, we'd think that was mad, but back then. So how can they do it? How can they move?
Well, this is
Well,
yeah. So
that's
what
what
you're
we were
saying
saying.
about
It'll blow up.
people being affected by it. Change the word people into governments, and that's the big problem. Governments have borrowed a lot of money, so the interest rate starts to move. The governments have to pay it back at a higher interest rate. That's the worry about defaulting on the debt.
So
they can't move. They can't move is the answer to that, mate.
Can't move.
In my opinion, you're right to be concerned about it because it will be an issue.
Yeah,
it can't not be.
Back in, when did I move out here? I moved out here in 2008, and I have a friend of mine that works in the city. He's a good friend. He's a real cutthroat, but he said, clear your debt, you'll be safe. So I cleared my debt and left. So I thought, that's so close, actually. That's so close. Kings of Leon.
Yeah, I think
I heard you blokes talking about that at the time, but I thought, it's too
$2 million. I think that they got from that or something like that. It was that's old, isn't it? That's an old headline.
It's an old one. It was just I wondered along with the like the NFT space is that if you're obviously these guys are well known and all the artists are well known and you do well up there, if you're down at the bottom of the heap, I think I'll just wait for the old bubble to, and then I'll come back in.
What, to the NFT space?
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of art and I've got music and things like that, but I've not ventured into it because I can't. I can see that it's useful, I really can, but I mean, I've made the potential profit I've got on the crypto space I'm in is very good because I've not traded. I've just bought certain things which look like they're relevant to everything that's going on. But with this, I just.
Do you know, mate? This is. I think that maybe the confusion with NFTs is that, and the reason it worries so many people is that everybody sees things like CryptoPunks and the apes and stuff selling for millions of dollars, and they think, how can that have any use case? So this NFT thing is just a load of rubbish. But I think the idea really is that the NFT space moves into genuine products like houses and albums and passports and driving licenses and concert tickets. That's where the NFT space does become really interesting, because if you're a stadium owner and you have sold concert tickets and all you've got is a load of touts coming and buying those concert tickets, then going outside and hiking up the price, you are not realizing any of the profit that they're hiking it up. But if they sell it through an NFT, when they resell it on, the person that owns the stadium also gets a kickback. So that's where NFTs are going to really interest big businesses, and they'll definitely interest musicians, because musicians want to continue to get paid if their album, gets sold on to somebody else as well. So and it's not copied because it's it's your unique version of that product. So
I'll release my music that way, but it's just I'm going to wait and let it die down and then join in. That's what I did with the crypto.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it will die down. What's more likely to happen is that it will level off, as they kind of sort out how it's going to be regulated and how they kind of like maybe get rid of some of the bad actors, and maybe there's some genuinely good stuff that comes out rather than things that are kind of people are creating in an afternoon. So I think that's more likely. I think this is probably the start of this. It's the start of the wave of it, and it might be better to get involved early rather than waiting it out. But because you haven't got so many people you're competing against. But by the same token, it's a difficult one to know where it's going to go next. But I do think NFTs are a brilliant addition to the crypto space.
I'll be convinced.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing is to the other difficulty is that people are sort of like buying NFTs in the hope to kind of like make money out of their increase in value as time goes on. what interests me more is actually to buy the network, by the people that hold the NFTs, because every time that there's a transaction that goes through, they get paid, and just like any other share, you get paid.
Yeah,
So,
for me, it's releasing my albums and music and work instead of the form it's been into a different one. That's my sort of thing.
Do you know, mate? I would look at Theos.fi. It's going to launch on Cardano, which means it's going to be a whole bunch cheaper than anything that's on Ethereum.
That's good.
Yeah,
I'm a Cardano man.
Yeah, well, Cardano is a great currency, but it's a great network. Sorry, but the other thing with Theos is that you can really just put your NFTs up just for yourself. You don't even have to, because they're so cheap. You can just put them up as NFTs, and just have your stuff stored as an NFT, as a kind of as a unique product. It launched about 5 days ago, but Cardano doesn't launch the mainnet until Sunday. So when that happens, you'll see the roadmap continue. But I think by December, Theos may well be one of the bigger players on the Cardano network.
Theos.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. So it's the guy from Virgin Galactic has come up with it. He's the guy that came up with the idea for Virgin Galactic, and he subsequently left. He was CEO or whatever. And he's left there, and he's now with Theos. So he's got a decent track record. Ronaldinho is launching NFTs on Theos, and there's a drummer from one of the big. I think it might be the drummer from Guns N' Roses is part of it as well. So they've got a relatively good pedigree already of people. But it's early. They haven't even they've launched, but because Cardano's not on the main net, they haven't actually launched onto the main network. So nice and early for that project.
Oh, that might be worth it. Okay, sorry, that was that's the quiz this week. I believe it was
Cool, very good quiz, mate. I enjoyed it this week. I think I actually sort of answered more questions than ever before. So I like it when quizzes are like that.
That helps.
I thought after last week's what was it? Cryptic chase. I thought very good.
Very esoteric. Some of them, I thought.
Yeah, very good, mate.
But nothing wrong with that. That's all good.
All right, mate. Well, let's call it a wrap. Thanks as always, John. Unless you got any questions, mate, or if you want anything addressing, we can have the John 5 minutes.
No, you've addressed most of it. Oh, thanks very much for the shoulder. It's nuts. I've never been in so much pain. Oh, apart from kidney stones, I had one of those. That's pretty good. It's August was not a good month's trading, but it wasn't a bad month. So I learned a lot.
That's good, mate. Ultimately at this particular phase of the career, it's all about learning, isn't it? Until you're kind of ready to spread your wings and turn it into a nice, comfortable way to make money, which I've got no doubt you will get, because a lot of this stuff's about.
It'll work. Yeah, it'll work eventually. I know it will. It's just that I think when you say if you cycle. I hate that terminology. There's got to be a better way of saying it. Psychology, your mind, right? Mm-hmm. I did sort of step back a bit. That's why I've not been around, because it's not been. Everybody's had their pandemic experience, and it's not been brilliant here at all. Right. So stepping back from everything has been a good thing to do, and then to come back in. But strangely enough, getting back into doing the quiz is good therapeutic work.
Oh, brilliant, mate! That's really good to hear.
Yeah, which is good, because I can use.
You're right to stand back. If it's not comfortable, if you're not feeling it, just don't do it. Simple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, other than that, thanks very much for allowing me to get used to talking to people online.
Oh, mate, yeah.
It's really good.
More than welcome with that, and as we always say, any of the buddies in the room are welcome to come on mic or camera at any time. But you've got your own section, which kind of like makes it probably a bit better.
No, it's good. It makes me move around and look at lots of different things.
Yeah, that's really good, mate. Okay, well let's wrap it up then, mate, and we will probably just have a final review. I'm just going to kind of like do mine first, and then I'll pass it to you. So
Sure.
FTSE, well, unless you got a trade.
No, mate. No.
You're all good. Okay, so FTSE 100 is caught in this zone. We had a bounce down, a bounce up, a bounce down, a bounce up. So it's caught in this zone, which is kind of expected in some respects. You know, this is what I was looking at, for it to kind of level off around about this 7,000 mark. And I am looking for upside, if I'm honest. You know, I think the upside potential here is there. I'm not saying it's greater or lesser, but I think it is there. And one of the reasons I think it's there, and you have to be careful with timing, is the ECB press conference. I think that may well just stabilize the market here. Volatility has dropped down a little bit, so it might not be quite as easy to make the money now. So be careful. But as we approach that ECB press conference, if the price point is here, then I would expect a push to the upside going into the press conference. So you might be able to bag yourself some pips. But as I say, short term today, I don't think you want to be holding on to anything. I think you want to try and bag it, get in, get out, you know, put your stop loss, get your target, and do your thing, and then leave the market until tomorrow. That would be my particular approach. How about you, buddy?
Yes, mate. We're about 3 hours out from the press conference, or from the statement, I think. Are we? Is that right?
4 hours, yeah.
4 hours. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. If that's the case, then we can still talk euro. I'll do that first. And like I said before, this candle here has to close, and it's got 44 minutes to go, has to close above this high, or more particularly this high, but that high would be far more comfortable. And then we need a candle to come back. So you've got, 45 minutes of this and then another hour. So you've still got a couple of hours before the press conference to get into that. Got to be safe by the time the press conference happens, or so not the press conference, the statement. That's all I've got to say on that one. And if you do, just let the rest go. You'll either get taken out at break even, or you'll get a good ride, or it'll do nothing. Of course, there's always 3 options. But if there is something that comes out of the ECB statement, then you've got a good chance of getting a result. Now, ordinarily at this time, I would look at the breakout trade, but I don't see a range. We've actually gone into trend on euro dollar. So you'd be looking at, I don't think it's that dramatic. It's only 85 pips, but I just don't like the shape of it. It's trend. So the likelihood, if it's good news, is that we'll go to a resistance level and then go back to trend. Or if it's bad news, this will just continue to go. So I'm not confident that we'll get the right scenario here. I'm really not. So I'm not going to trade the breakout. But as I said, if this on the hourly chart does come back after it's taken out those highs, so I want to close about here somewhere, then come back, then you can go and get safe before the announcement. 2 others. Kiwi Swiss starting to look good to me on the hourly chart. So we've broken above the trade line. A little bit of consolidation here, back underneath, retest it, go short, take profit here, get yourself safe in the market, because you've also got a trend line going through there. So you want to get safe about here somewhere. And then, like I said before, if this goes, you're probably looking at 65 the figure for another scale out level. And I think that's probably all you're going to get out of this, because this looks red hot, I've got to say. But if you want to leave something to go to the next level, happy days. One other, what was it? Oh, pound.
Yeah.
We're in the pound trade, right? So we're both in the breakout trade and in my daily trade, right? Daily trade, first take profits just underneath the weekly pivot. This is the entry for the short, which was taken on Tuesday. So we'll get taken out there. I actually hope we do, of course, because I've got a whole lot more at stake on this one than I do on the breakout trade. So there's your first take profit if the pound does continue to go. And where's it going next? I've got to say it's going to here, but that may not happen today. It may. Second take profit, you need to be thinking around about the 138.50 level or something like that. But I'll leave that entirely up to you. I like the shape of this. It looks pretty good as a chart to me. That is all, guys, for me. Ash, thanks for being my trading buddy, and everyone else, thanks for being our trading buddies. John, thanks for the quiz, and Angel, thanks for looking after us as always.
Yeah,
is that all?
What you said.
You got nothing to add, mate, or what?
Nothing to add. Nothing to add. Yeah, thank you as you said to everybody, and to Angel as always for looking after us. Have a great weekend, guys. Stay safe out there. It's going to be choppy, I think. Not maybe not choppy. It's going to be volatile for a good few hours, I would have thought. So enjoy it while you can.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Before it dies down. You have a good one, buddy. I'll see you next week. See you next week, guys.
Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.